So the next time you pull out your phone, to order takeout from that amazing little Thai place down the street, I want you to consider something kind of wild.
Oh, yeah. It really shifts your perspective.
Right, because the restaurant you're buying from, they probably don't actually own the digital storefront you're tapping on.
Most likely not, no.
Behind that glowing screen of your phone, there is this multi-billion-dollar, completely invisible war going on.
It's massive.
Yeah, it's this battle between renting your technology or, building it entirely from scratch. Because we tap a few buttons, and 30 minutes later, dinner arrives at our door, and we just treat it like magic.
Like it just happened out of thin air.
Exactly. We rarely think about the incredibly complex digital architecture that's actually powering that delivery.
But for the businesses, I mean, it's everything.
Right. If you are a business trying to just survive, let alone thrive in this space, how you actually build your app might be the single most important decision you make.
Without a doubt.
And that is our mission for today. We're doing a deep dive into a single comprehensive source today, analyzing this intense battle of white label versus custom-built food delivery apps.
It's a really fascinating breakdown.
The goal here is to help you understand the invisible infrastructure that is literally dictating how the modern world eats. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Well, the stakes here really cannot be overstated. I mean, our source projects that the online food delivery market size is expected to hit $1.37 trillion by 2029.
Wait, trillion with a T.
Trillion. With a T, it's staggering. So for anyone operating in the food business right now, whether that's, a single independent food truck, a sprawling international restaurant chain, or even just a neighborhood grocery store, getting even a microscopic fraction of that trillion-dollar pie requires a digital presence.
You just have to be in the customer's pocket.
Exactly. But the moment a business decides to, launch an app, they face this monumental fork in the road.
The big choice.
Right. Do you buy a pre-packaged, off-the-shelf software solution, or do you hire engineers to build your own application line by line from absolute scratch?
So to understand how businesses actually navigate that trillion-dollar terrain, we're going to start with what initially looks like, honestly, the most straightforward route.
Makes sense to start there.
The industry refers to this as the white label app. And to visualize this, I like to think of a white label app like buying a fully furnished, pre-built house.
That's a great way to look at it.
Right, because you buy this house and the foundation is already poured. The plumbing is all routed through the walls, the electricity is wired to the breaker box, the roof is sealed.
The hard part is done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You didn't have to hire an architect. You didn't have to, apply for zoning permits or pour a single drop of concrete.
You're just moving in.
Yeah, your job is just the cosmetic layer. You paint the walls in your specific brand colors, you hang your menus in the windows, and you screw your corporate logo onto the front door.
So in the digital realm, that translates to a fully functional mobile application that a food business essentially licenses from a software provider.
The core code is already written.
Precisely. You just customize the visuals to match your brand identity, upload your menu, and then boom, you push it to the App Store.
And the sheer engineering weight that is lifted off the business owner's shoulders in that scenario, it's massive.
Well, it's a game changer.
The source details this really extensive suite of features that just come standard with these pre-built systems. And the underlying mechanics of these features, they're incredibly complex.
Very.
Take something as seemingly simple as rider management.
Right, tracking the delivery.
Yeah, a white label solution doesn't just give you a static map. It provides the complex algorithmic routing required to track a delivery driver via GPS.
In real time.
In real time, yeah.
Yeah.
It pings their phone with new orders based on proximity, and it calculates their earnings per trip.
Which is heavy lifting on the back end.
Right. Building that kind of real-time geolocation infrastructure from scratch, that takes months of specialized engineering.
But with a white label app?
You just turn it on.
Yeah. You literally just flip a switch. And what's fascinating here is why having all those ready-made mechanisms matters so much.
Because it goes way beyond just tracking the driver, right?
Oh, absolutely. The source outlines how these pre-built systems handle the entire life cycle of an order.
Like the user registration.
Exactly. It automatically hooks into existing social media logins so customers don't have to, remember a new password.
Thank goodness for that. I hate making new passwords.
Same. And then you have deep integrations for multiple payment gateways.
Which is a huge headache to build yourself.
Right. Instead of a restaurant owner having to figure out how to securely process a credit card, connect to Apple Pay, handle digital wallets, all without violating financial compliance laws.
Because you do not want to mess with financial laws.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
The white label vendor has already built those secure bridges. The app just facilitates the transaction.
And then there are the retention tools, too.
Yeah, these apps come preloaded with loyalty programs that track user spending over time.
Automated feedback and rating systems to kind of catch bad reviews before they hit Yelp.
Which every restaurant wants. And even live chat features routing customer service queries directly to a tablet in the kitchen.
So again, what's fascinating here is why this specific demographic loves this setup so much. The source explicitly mentions, restaurant chains, grocery stores, catering services.
Meal kit companies, fitness brands delivering health-focused plans.
Right, all of them. And the unifying characteristic among all these businesses is their core competency. They specialize in hospitality. They specialize in the culinary arts.
They make food.
Exactly. They do not specialize in software engineering. Their primary objective is getting a hot, delicious meal into a box.
Not debugging a server crash at 8 p.m. on a Friday.
Yes. They're chefs, not coders. So the white label app lets them stay in the kitchen.
And they get a highly scalable digital storefront, meaning it won't crash if they suddenly get 500 orders during a dinner rush.
And they do all that without ever having to hire a chief technology officer.
The vendor handles the server load, they maintain the code, and the business owner gets to just focus on the food. It's really a division of labor that democratizes access to top-tier delivery tech.
But, okay, this introduces a massive, glaring question for anyone looking at this industry.
I think I know where you're going with this.
If a pre-built app just hands you real-time GPS driver tracking, secure payment processing, built-in loyalty programs, and scalable servers literally right out of the box.
Why wouldn't everyone use it?
Yes. Why wouldn't every single business simply use this model? Like, why on earth would any company voluntarily choose to reinvent the wheel, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and build an application entirely from scratch?
It's a great question, but the limitations of that pre-built house metaphor become very, very apparent when you want to fundamentally change how the house operates.
Oh.
The source highlights several severe restrictions with white label apps, starting with a near total lack of control.
Because it's not actually yours.
Right. Because you are just licensing the technology, you do not own the underlying code. You are entirely dependent on that third-party vendor for updates, for bug fixes, for introducing any new features.
So if something goes wrong, you just have to wait.
Pretty much. If Apple or Google releases a major update to their mobile operating systems that, say, breaks how your app's checkout button works.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
It is. But you cannot send your own team in to fix it. You have to wait in line for the white label vendor to patch their universal software.
Okay, so extending our house metaphor, it's like you can paint the walls, sure, but you do not own the blueprints.
And you absolutely cannot move a load-bearing wall.
Wow, okay, that makes sense.
And that lack of control cascades into integration challenges, which is where things get really messy behind the scenes.
How so?
Well, let's say a local restaurant has a 15-year-old point-of-sale system sitting on their front counter.
Like the old chunky cash registers.
Right. For a new mobile app to send an order directly to that kitchen, the app has to communicate with that old system using an API.
Which is essentially a digital translator, right?
Yeah.
It allows two different pieces of software to talk to each other.
Exactly. But white label apps are built to appeal to the broadest possible market, so they prioritize modern, standardized APIs.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, if the restaurant's legacy system doesn't speak that modern language, the white label app simply cannot connect to it.
So what happens? Does the order just vanish?
No, the orders might literally have to be manually typed into the register by a host as they come in on a separate tablet.
You're kidding. That completely defeats the purpose of having an automated digital system.
It really does. Or, you have the risk of the vendor themselves failing. The source mentions quality variability.
Like servers going down.
Right. If your white label provider experiences a catastrophic server failure on, say, Super Bowl Sunday.
The busiest day of the year.
Exactly. Your restaurant's digital presence basically ceases to exist, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
Okay, yeah, that is terrifying for a business owner. And this is exactly what drives the necessity for the alternative approach, right? The custom-built app.
Yes. Returning to the metaphor, this is the architect-designed option.
This is a mobile application conceptualized, designed, and coded entirely from scratch. Every single function is tailored to meet the incredibly specific operational needs of one particular business.
And when we talk about custom built in this source, we are looking at a roster of absolute industry titans.
Oh yeah, the text points to Domino's, Uber Eats, Chipotle, Starbucks, Grubhub, McDonald's, Blue Apron, and Zomato.
The heavy hitters.
Right. Now, I think about Domino's specifically here. They basically built their entire modern brand identity around that pizza tracker.
It's iconic at this point.
It is. You can watch your specific pizza move from the prep station to the oven to the driver's car. A generic white label app could never interface with the proprietary sensors inside Domino's custom ovens.
Yeah.
They had to build the software from the ground up to actually talk to their specific hardware.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, analyzing the behavior of these mega corporations reveals the true currency of the digital economy.
Data.
Bingo! While custom features like a pizza tracker offer incredible competitive differentiation, the most vital advantage of a custom-built app is complete and total data ownership.
Because with white label, the vendor kind of hoards that, right?
Usually, yes. When a business uses a white label service, the vendor often retains access to, or just heavily obfuscates, the granular analytics of customer behavior.
But when a company like McDonald's builds their own app,
They own every single byte of data generated. They know exactly how long you lingered on the picture of the French fries before adding them to your cart.
that is so creepy but so smart.
They know you tend to order coffee at 8 a.m. on Tuesdays when it's raining.
And because they own that data, they can completely weaponize it. They can push a customized notification directly to your phone at 7:45 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday, offering you a discount on that exact coffee.
They control the entire feedback loop. Total control over the brand ecosystem.
But that control has a cost. I mean, it requires the business to essentially transform into a software company.
That's the huge trade-off. The source emphasizes that custom development is not just some one-time project.
No, it requires a significantly longer initial development timeline. We're talking months, maybe even years.
And it demands continuous, incredibly resource-intensive maintenance. The business has to employ dedicated in-house engineering teams to monitor server health, patch security vulnerabilities.
Pushing constant updates just to keep pace with new iPhone and Android releases.
It's a never-ending cycle.
So we've established a pretty clear dichotomy here.
Yeah.
On one side, you have the practical, fast, rented infrastructure of the white label app.
Yep.
And on the other, you have the complex, highly tailored, data-rich architectural marvel of the custom build.
Right.
The obvious assumption for anyone listening to this is that total control comes with a massive premium price tag. But when we look at the actual financial breakdowns in the source text, here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, the numbers rarely tell a simple story.
In this case, the numbers seem to actively contradict the text itself.
Yeah, it's a bit of a paradox.
Right. The source includes a frequently asked questions section at the very end, and one of those questions is explicitly, which is cheaper, white label or custom food delivery app?
And what does it say?
The text states very clearly that white label apps are generally cheaper because they reuse existing technology.
Which makes total logical sense. Reusing thousands of lines of pre-written code should inherently cost less than paying developers to write new code from a blank screen.
That is the logical assumption. But when you look closely at the actual estimated cost tables provided earlier in the exact same text, they show the literal opposite.
Wait, really? Let's hear the numbers.
Okay, let me break down the specific line item estimates they give for 2026. The text estimates the total cost for a white label app to be between $79,000 and $210,000.
Okay, so a ceiling of over $200,000 for the pre-built option.
Right. But then you look at the total estimated cost for the custom-built app, and it is listed at $39,500 to $172,000.
So the custom app, built from scratch, is estimated to have both a lower starting price and a lower maximum price than the off-the-shelf option.
Exactly. The custom app starts at under $40,000, while the white label starts at nearly $80,000. It's completely backward.
We really need to dissect the individual line items to understand where this massive discrepancy is coming from.
Let's do it, because the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. Take UI/UX design, for example.
Okay.
And just for anyone unfamiliar, UI stands for user interface. So the literal buttons, menus, and visual layout you tap on your screen. UX is user experience, the psychological flow of how easy it is to navigate from choosing a meal to checking out.
Right.
The source lists the UI/UX design cost for the white label app at $10,000 to $30,000. But for the custom app, designing that interface from absolute scratch is only estimated at $3,000 to $10,000.
Wait, so designing a completely novel interface is somehow estimated to be dramatically cheaper than applying a fresh coat of paint to a pre-existing template.
Yes, and the development costs are just as wild. For the white label option, they split development into two categories.
Front end and back end.
Right. You have the front end, which is the visual application running on the customer's phone, estimated at $20K to $50. Then you have the back end, the central brain and database, sitting on a server somewhere.
Yeah.
Routing orders and managing menus, estimated at $15K to $40K.
Okay, so for a white label app, just the development phase is what, $35,000 to $90,000?
Exactly. But for the custom app, overall development is just lumped into a single line item ranging from $20,000 to $100,000.
This contradiction forces us to really apply some deep critical thinking about how the software industry categorizes costs, and how it defines its own terminology.
Right, because on paper it makes no sense.
Let's hypothesize why this paradox exists in the source data. The most likely explanation revolves around the actual scope of the final product being compared.
What do you mean?
Consider what a $39,500 custom app actually looks like in the real world.
Probably not an Uber Eats clone.
Not at all.
Hmm?
It is almost certainly an incredibly bare-bones, stripped-down application. It likely serves, a single restaurant location, features a basic text-only menu, processes credit card payments, and offers zero advanced features.
No live tracking.
No complex loyalty algorithms, no multi-language support, nothing.
So it's basically a digital tricycle compared to a fully loaded sedan.
Precisely. Now, compare that tricycle to the $79,000 entry-level white label app.
Ah, I see.
While it costs twice as much, that white label app likely comes out of the box with the live driver tracking, the automated marketing loops, the multi-location inventory management, and the sophisticated customer service portals already functioning.
So you are paying a higher absolute dollar amount, but you are instantly acquiring millions of dollars worth of complex engineering, research, and development.
Exactly. That reframes the entire cost conversation. It's also entirely possible that the way these vendors structure their pricing plays a big role here.
Like hidden fees.
Sort of. The source mentions that white label costs vary based on location, complexity, and specific required features. A vendor might charge massive initial licensing and setup fees just to grant a business access to their proprietary platform.
And those fees are simply getting categorized under development in these tables.
Right. Furthermore, forcing a rigid, pre-built white label system to communicate with a massive grocery chain's highly specific legacy database, that might require the vendor's engineers to practically rip apart their own code.
Making the customization process technically harder, and therefore way more expensive than just building a clean, simple custom app from a blank slate.
The critical takeaway for anyone analyzing this industry is that the labels custom and white label do not automatically dictate the final invoice. A business has to rigorously audit the exact feature set they are acquiring and the hidden costs of integrating new software with their existing operational plumbing.
And thankfully, to help businesses navigate that exact audit, the source provides a highly practical decision matrix. It's essentially a cheat sheet titled, "Which option is right for your business?"
It's a great breakdown.
It breaks down 4 distinct operational scenarios. Let's run through them. First scenario. You are a first-time founder trying to launch a new food delivery concept, and your budget is strictly under $50,000.
The Matrix strongly recommends white label for the new founder.
Makes sense.
The underlying logic is risk mitigation and speed to market. When you are proving a new concept, you need to validate that customers actually want your food before you sink $100,000 into proprietary software.
A white label solution gets you operational in weeks, letting you test the waters with minimal technical risk.
Exactly.
Okay, second scenario. A restaurant chain operating 5 or more distinct locations.
White label is recommended again.
Really? Even for a chain?
Yeah, because a growing chain's primary technical challenge is maintaining a uniform, branded experience across multiple zip codes while keeping menus and pricing synchronized. High-end white label platforms are specifically engineered to handle multi-location logistics right out of the box.
Saving the chain from having to engineer a complex, centralized database on their own.
Precisely.
Third scenario. A grocery operator or a dark store operator. And for context, a dark store is essentially a micro-warehouse situated in a dense urban area. It's packed with groceries or convenience items, but its doors are permanently closed to the public.
It exists purely to fulfill online delivery orders in a matter of minutes.
Right, so for them.
For grocery and dark stores, the source again points to white label.
Well, White label sweeps the board so far.
Well, the reasoning is that the logistical challenge of delivering a carton of milk or a bag of apples is highly standardized. The wheel simply does not need to be reinvented here. Off-the-shelf software excels at standard inventory management and basic delivery routing.
Which is all a dark store fundamentally requires to function.
Exactly.
But the matrix shifts dramatically for the final scenario. A venture capital-funded startup aiming to compete directly with giants like DoorDash or Uber Eats.
Custom built, without hesitation.
Yeah.
The source makes it clear that at that level of competition, differentiation is an existential requirement. If your business model relies on beating DoorDash, you cannot rely on generic, rented technology.
You must own your data pipeline.
You must be able to pivot your entire user experience overnight based on market trends, and you must possess infinite scalability.
And you just cannot achieve that if you don't own the underlying code.
No, you can't.
So what does this all mean? Synthesizing this deep dive reveals that the choice between renting and building isn't just a technical decision, it is a fundamental business strategy.
It's the foundation of everything they do.
Right. If your primary objective is to launch rapidly the source notes a white label app can be deployed in just 4 to 12 weeks, and your focus is exclusively on the quality of your culinary product, the pre-built house gets you into the trillion-dollar market quickly and efficiently.
It gets you in the game.
But if you are playing an aggressive long game, aiming to carve out a unique empire and leverage user data to outmaneuver the competition, custom-built software provides the absolute control necessary to scale those ambitions.
The landscape is evolving rapidly, and as we look toward that projected $1.37 trillion market size, there is a lingering, honestly profound question that arises from our source material.
Ooh, let's hear it.
We have established that for the overwhelming majority of independent restaurants, regional chains, and local grocers, utilizing white label software is the most financially and operationally logical choice.
Right. It's practically a no-brainer for them.
But if everyone takes that logical route, what happens to the broader digital ecosystem?
Oh, wow. That is an incredibly compelling thread to pull on.
Think about it. If 90% of our digital dining options eventually rely on the exact same underlying white label architectures, are we accelerating toward a total digital monoculture?
A monoculture.
Yeah. Imagine a near future where almost every single restaurant app you download functions identically. They all utilize the same user flow, the exact same checkout process, the identical layout for loyalty points.
Merely differentiated by, what, a different brand color and a different logo at the top of the screen.
Exactly. In a landscape where the invisible digital experience is entirely homogeneous, how will your favorite local restaurant truly stand out from the noise? When the software is identical, does the food have to work exponentially harder just to be memorable?
It paints a picture of a perfectly organized digital city where every storefront looks exactly the same, which certainly makes it much harder to discover a unique flavor hidden in the crowd.
It really does.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of your dinner. We will catch you next time as we keep exploring the invisible systems shaping our world.